Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the morning. I am S, Shelley, and she is B for Brad, right?
It works out like that sometimes, yes.
And you are conscious, and you are vertical, and you are awake.
And I'm looking down at the flowers instead of up at the roots.
Wow.
It's going to be a good day.
Wow, listen to you. Weather-wise, did you have any of the funky weather that came through last night?
I don't know. I was asleep.
We were on the tail end of that. Matter of fact, they had some really nasty weather to the south and east of us. Matter of fact, I believe down in Nashville, they had some tornadoes. And there were some areas of the STL, primarily over the Metro East, that had some warnings for severe thunderstorms last night. So, and we got just the tail end of that nasty weather. So, depending where you're at, probably the furthest west, people in St. Charles County didn't get much. But if you move further east through the Metro, and especially on the east side, you got some buffeting last night. So, hopefully everybody made it through the night, and you're in good shape. And we are ready for a nice day, which is supposed to be 58 today. 58.
Woohoo!
And we might even see sun most of the day. Matter of fact, I got a feeling it's probably going to be sunny all day long. We'll check with Jennifer
Wojcicki.
She's coming up in about a half an hour from now. Wow, all sorts of stuff to talk about in the news this morning. First off, man, did I take some heat yesterday about my comments about the coronavirus thing. But I listened to a couple experts this morning, one of whom is a travel expert. And you know what? I have always been sort of the contrarian.
No, not you.
Well,
yes, absolutely.
This guy is a travel expert, and he said there are two things you should be buying right now: stocks and travel, because the problem is both of them are in the toilet. Now, yesterday the stock market came back up. Last week we had this horrendous, 4,000 point loss over the course of 3-4 days, and yesterday it went up 1,400 points, set a new record for the most increase in a single day. And he talked about the fact that there's, especially if you're going to Europe, lots of great deals right now. Cruises, can you imagine going on a cruise right now? People go, oh, there's no way I'd go on a cruise.
No, not really.
I wouldn't go. But see, that's the whole thing. You have to be contrarian. You have to go like, best time to go on a cruise is right now. Cheap, because of the fact that everybody's going, oh my God, I don't want to be stuck on a cruise like those people were for like 2 weeks. I don't want that. You know what I mean?
Did they ever fly them out? Or are they still contained?
They handcuffed them to the railing on the ship, and they pushed the ship out to the sea with no crew on board, and they said, good luck.
Okay, so really, are they still at sea?
You don't believe me? You don't?
No, I don't believe you. So are they still at sea?
So you're calling BS on that?
Yes.
Well, there's controversy about that one. Was it the Princess Cruise Line that I read a whole long story about it yesterday? They took a bunch of the Americans off, and then they put them in a bus, and they drove them to some air base, and they put them on a 747, a government 747 that had been converted. It wasn't a passenger 747. It was like a cargo 747, and which is interesting. And I never even thought about this. These people are on a cruise, right? So they don't have, they're wearing like, shorts and T-shirt and, probably don't have any clothes with them. The 747 they flew them back on was a cargo plane, and it was not insulated. Because I
bet they were a little chilly.
What you don't realize is once you get up there in the atmosphere, it gets really cold. I mean, cold. You go up 20, 30,000 feet, and like if the ground temperature, like let's say you're flying over St. Louis, the ground temperature is like, let's say it's going to be like 60 today. The air temperature up there is like, it could be like, minus 10. Maybe not that cold, but still, it's cold.
I'm sure they gave them blankets.
No, they didn't. They told them they had to strip down to their underwear. That was what they told them.
No way.
Are you calling BS on me again?
Yeah.
Anyway, they flew them back, but they're saying that there were people on the flight that were carriers of the virus, but they put them in a separate part of the plane, but yet they put them in the same bus, and there's all sorts of weird controversy about that. I mean, and the whole goofy thing is, I say it again, much ado about nothing. How many people yesterday in the United States, they said, there's 6 people that died in Washington State. Okay? Very sad. I hate to hear that. I hate to hear when anybody dies anywhere. It always bothers me. But yet, How many people were killed in car accidents yesterday? How many people, fell down the steps at their house and were killed? How many people, accidentally, tripped over something and were killed? How many people? How many construction workers were killed?
We get what you're trying to say,
right?
And
but you don't believe it.
I'm sorry.
You don't believe what I'm saying.
Oh.
You think I'm being cold and callous? I'm saying.
I think that you're being not cold and callous, actually, a realist. But it is tragic that they have been on that boat, and this is way bigger than me. I really don't have an opinion about it either way, like you do. Clearly, that you are passionate about this, but we need to run with a different topic now.
It's my industry. It's the media business. What do? You jump on something and you just, oh, hey, and everything's headline, because it's the next big thing. Now, let me tell you the real reason why the coronavirus is not a factor anymore. There are two incidents that happened yesterday why the coronavirus is just gone, okay?
Why?
First off, Chris Matthews resigned on the air last night from NBC's Hardball. He's gone. And then you had Buttigieg, Steyer, and Klobuchar, who all got out of the Democratic race. So that's why there's no more coronavirus. It was those four people that were causing the coronavirus. And because of the fact that they have moved back from their positions, Chris Matthews was, when he was on the air, and if you were watching MSNBC, his breath was coming, through the TV screen out into your house and infecting your house with Chris Matthews' coronavirus.
Oh, look, it's 6:12.
You don't believe me?
I don't believe you. It's not that I don't believe you. No, I do believe you. I don't think that they're causing the coronavirus, but we need to move on because this is not the kind of story that
you don't believe.
It's not happy. I want happy.
Well, that is happy. I'm saying the thing's over because of the fact that they're not spewing their coronavirus out at us anymore.
Whatever, Brad.
Chris Matthews.
First of all, when the plasma's low in the TV, you know that breath can't come out.
Well, see, all you have to do is the newer TV sets have that. If you go into the setup menu and you go into advanced, and there's one on there that says antivirus, and people think that's computer virus. No, what it does is it prevents any of those viruses from those TV moderators coming through your screen into your living room. And you just click on that virus thing, and there way you don't have to worry about it. But you have to have a newer TV set made within the last 2 years.
You're so full of crap. It's 6:13.
You don't believe what I'm saying?
Brad, it's 6:13.
You don't believe what I'm saying, Shelley? Shelley? Hello? Shelley?
No.
Shelley?
Nope, I don't.
Okay.
Want to bet $50?
Yeah, I'll bet you $50.
What are we betting on?
$50 that Chris Matthews is no longer with MSNBC.
No, I believe that.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, then I won then. 613. Westplex 107.1. It's BS in the Morning. She's Brad. I'm Shelley. Website is bsinthe.morning.show. You know what week this is, Shelley?
It's the first week in March.
It's Severe Weather Preparedness Week in both Missouri and Illinois. Did you know that?
It's probably that. Yeah, it's actually heading down that way in Oklahoma because they have now Oklahoma, they get the storms.
Well, it's our week, and it's a statewide drill to this morning at 10 o'clock. You know how I know about this?
Because you're a radio broadcaster, and it probably came through the EAS system.
No, it's on westplex.news. Brand new site if you want to check it out. Westplex.news. Yes, westplex.news. Severe Weather Preparedness Week, statewide tornado drill held at 10 o'clock this morning. Now, normally they do the sirens on the first Monday of the month, but they didn't do it this month because of the fact that it's going to be on a Tuesday because it's the tornado test. So 10 o'clock, matter of fact, if we have inclement weather today, which I don't think is going to be the case, the backup day is Thursday. But this morning, 10 o'clock, tornado sirens, that's what it is. It's the state test. So we'll just have to wait and see. And I'm in a position where I'm always aware of when the sirens go off.
Because they overtake your stations.
No, there's another reason for that, which we won't go into right now. Anyway,
okay.
6:22. Okay. I have been a little bit under the weather yesterday.
You've been a little under the weather for a while.
Yeah, I'm getting better. But I figured out what my problem is.
Are you going to say it's me?
No, I figured out what my problem is. Are you ready? Listen carefully. Here's my problem.
Okay.
I had prostate problems that were driving me nuts.
I didn't hear it. What did he say?
I had prostate problems that were driving me nuts.
That's awesome, Brad.
I found it.
Way to pull that off.
The Larry King one. Is that the funniest? I mean, am I the only guy that think that's so funny?
I don't know. I'm not a man.
I had prostate problems that were driving me nuts.
Oh, okay.
Remember we talked about this a couple weeks ago?
Yes, I do remember now.
And I talked about this commercial that Larry King does, and you didn't believe me. You didn't believe he actually said. You should hear. That's just part of the commercial, okay? I called in a favor because I couldn't find that commercial anywhere, and I called in a favor for someone who we used to work with that works at Premier Networks, which is the big, one of the big talk networks. That's the one that Rush Limbaugh and a bunch of the talk people are on. And I said, "Do you have this commercial, this Larry King prostagenics commercial?" And he sent it to me, and that's just part of it. But it's like okay. And I even sent the guy back. I go, "Did you listen to that commercial?" And he goes, "No, not really." I go, "Listen to it." And he replied back. He goes, "That is pretty funny because." Once again,
I had prostate problems that were driving me nuts.
Like I said,
they had to do that on purpose.
I don't.
They just did.
I don't think so. I mean, it's one of those things where it just cracks me up. The first time I heard it, I thought to myself, "No, I didn't hear that right." And then I heard it again, and I go like,
yeah, I pretty much heard it exactly the way it was.
How can they get away with that? That's almost as funny as...
What does the fox say? Brad, that's not funny. And you should play that song. It's a fun song.
What? It's a fun song.
What does the fox say?
I got it somewhere. We'll dig it out one of these days and play it.
You should.
Yeah, but once again, what's my health problem been?
I had prostate problems that were driving me nuts.
That's right.
Okay, here's a news flash. You overshare.
What? Shelley.
This is an overshare.
I didn't hear. What'd you say again? What did you say, Shelley?
I'm not going to do it.
I had prostate problems that were...
I overshare. So
this was a TMI moment. Because you have been under the weather, and it's not because of your prostate problem.
How do you know?
Well, I don't know, but I can only assume that they're not tied to your vocal cords and your chest.
You don't know. I mean, men are designed differently than women. There's parts that are connected in us.
So, I don't know. What's the word when it's just... Are you pettifogging again?
How would you know? You're a woman. When you're a man, you got all sorts of parts connected together. Nobody thought we're connected together. I mean, you can drop something on your toe and have aches and pains elsewhere. I mean, women, drop something on your toe, it hurts your toe. But men, drop it on your toe. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe where that hurts sometimes.
Well, all I know is that it's a Mars-Venus thing. And I know that the woman's heart is connected to her brain and to her gut.
Okay.
There's a reason for that. And it's not a stupid reason either.
And a man's brain is connected to his... Okay.
Whatever's driving him nuts.
You know what? I got my prostate back. I'm coughing again.
Whatever, Brad. It's 6:27.
Well, it's connected because when you go to the doctor, they say bend over and cough. You know what I'm saying? That's all connected, right?
I have a story about that, but I'm not going to tell it.
It's 6:27.
Westplex 107.1. Good morning to you. It's BS in the morning.
I am B. He is S.
That's right. And I have my mask on, Shelley. Can you hear me okay?
You sound ridiculous. Take it off.
I've got my mask on. I don't want to put any coronaviruses in the air.
Dude, let that go.
Is that better?
That's much better. Thank you.
I have my official 3M respirator, not one.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah, I got a nice
I
one.
actually have one too.
Well, I use this for, believe it or not, I use this for cutting grass because
I can believe that.
I have such a problem with my allergies, and I bought one of these 2-3 years ago. Oh my God, it's like night and day. Of course, I am using the official 3M respirator. This is not a little cheapy, the dual respirator, and I'm using the 3M 2097 filter kits, which are NIOSH P100s. So if you go like buy one of those cheapy, stupid little masks that you see people walking around with, good luck. You want to come by and borrow my 3M with the dual 2097s and the NIOSH P100 filtration? I might let you. Now what's really cool, you know what color my filters on this are?
Blue.
Hot pink. Because the hot pink ones...
That's about right.
The hot pink ones are designed for... they have different color coding, and the hot pink is designed for organic. So in other words, if somebody's coughing around you, you just put on your 3M, dual face mask with the 2097 filters and the NIOSH P100 filtration system. And you know what? I don't know about you, but you open up any websites you go to, all you see is, maybe it's just me, but ads for the masks. Have you seen that on any of the things?
I have not,
oh
but I haven't searched them
Every
either.
time I open up something, here's and they go, hey, this is the blah blah blah, and they all look like cheapy ones. And guess where they're all from?
China.
Right. So why would you want a mask from China right now? Think about that for a minute, okay? Guess where this stuff started? China. Why would you want their mask? No, you don't want a mask. You want a mask from Switzerland. That's where you want a mask from, or Sweden or Norway, where they don't have this kind of problem, right?
Yes, I agree.
Oh, Shelley's getting uncomfortable with me again. I can tell.
No, I'm not.
She's getting uncomfortable
I just think that
because
we've already talked about it. We need to move on.
I agree. We need to move on.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
That's exactly what you are, a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Oh, well. Anyway. Well, I thought I was better. Maybe I'm not. Oh, my God. One of those crazy things. Yesterday, I had weird stuff happen to me again yesterday. Weird stuff.
Such as?
I had somebody come up to me in a store and just start talking to me like they knew me, and I had no idea who it was.
Did you say that you didn't know who they were?
I did, and they told me they knew who I was.
I had somebody actually come up to me on Saturday night and tell me that.
I'm going like, I have no idea who. Yeah, I didn't say that. Well, I have no idea who you are.
Was it a gentleman or a lady?
Yeah, guy. It's to the point where it's like, don't know who you are. And I was nice. And, oh, yeah, you remember, we go way back. I think I was being punked. I think it was like there was a hidden camera somewhere,
You think so?
Yeah, I really do. I had no idea who it was. It was just one of those crazy things,
Did you say, am I being punked?
Well, no. I mean, it's just,
Did he say where he met you at?
No. It was just a weird conversation.
Did he know that you were in the radio business?
Well, to a certain extent, I saw something over the weekend. It was one of these, it was pretty interesting. There's this guy, I think the guy's name is Tim Kennedy. And he is I believe he's either a former Green Beret or a Navy SEAL. And he teaches this course on situational awareness. Do you know what situational awareness is?
I do.
Okay, it's what they teach you in the military and obviously as police officer in that, that's why if you ever eat lunch with a police officer, they'll never sit with their back to the door. They'll always sit with their back to an interior wall because they want to see who's coming in through the front door. Anyway, the guy was giving instructions, and it was pretty interesting. It was like a 20-minute video on parking lots. And specifically, he was doing this course in a Walmart parking lot. And he was talking about the various places where people park in the parking lot. And he talked about that if you park in this particular zone, you're more apt to be attacked than if you park here. And he talked about how and this is pretty interesting because he went into this in-depth discussion about, if you work at a store, and matter of fact, here's a little trivia thing. at Lowe's stores, Lowe's hardware places.
Yes.
If you go in the parking lot and you go away from the store, there is a set of lines that are different color than the other lines. And you know why that is?
Because that's where the employees park.
Yes, they're supposed to park beyond that point, okay?
Right.
And he talked about that's the worst place to park. Absolute worst. And it's funny because that's where I park because, I do the 10,000 step thing. So I always park way in the back in the parking lot. And he talked about that's the worst place because if the guys are going to come and, and do a quick snatch and grab, especially if you're a woman, they're going to get you in the back part of the parking lot because of the fact you're going to be the furthest away from the store and you're going to be the furthest away from people coming outside. And chances are there's not going to be any security cameras way back in the back of the parking lot. The security cameras are all going to be on the front of the building. And, once you get past a certain point in the parking lot, there are no more security cameras and in the back. So then he also talked about that you don't necessarily want to park in the front. And I'm going like, no, hold on a minute now. He just said that you should be parking close to the building because there's people coming out and, the security cameras. And he said the ideal situation is sort of like in the middle.
Really?
And yeah. And I can sort of see what he's saying because of the fact that if you park in the front, once again, they can drive by, even though they're up front, like by the security cameras and where the entrance and everything is, but they can drive by, jump out of their car real quick, grab your purse, whatever, jump back in their car and zoom out the exit because usually the front of the store is usually where you can get in and out of the parking lot in a hurry. You know what I mean? So in other words, the idea was, he says, you got to think like a criminal. Think like a criminal and, think about the fact that, where the points of least resistance are as far as getting caught is concerned. And it was interesting in the respect that he talked about how you walk, where you look, you have to, look like you have confidence because of the fact that and he talked about this. He says they practice this, that he goes into restaurants and he profiles people and then he'll go up and talk to them. And he'll do this like with a partner, and they'll do it together. They'll go into a restaurant and they'll look at that guy over there. Any money, that guy he's a businessman, and any money, he's driving a nice car. And the other interesting thing was he talked about, and I thought this was fascinating. He talked about the fact that what you put on your car. He said that if you put that they can pretty much profile you by what's on your car. That if you have like a sticker for a high school, or if you're like a supporter of a local high school or something like that, and
that is so funny because a couple years ago, Tiffany and I were in the car together, and we pulled up to a stoplight, and you could tell these people had they were Republicans. They believed in, they were like PETA people. They had animals. They had like 3 kids. They also had a cat. They're into marathons. I mean, you could tell pretty much their whole scheme by that cheerleading and hockey.
Right. And he talks about that. What that does is it gives the criminal, okay, and here's the other thing. He said this, and I didn't even think about this, and I thought to myself, holy cow, I never thought about that. He said that the big thing, like with gated communities, where, there's a security gate, and there aren't a lot of them in St. Charles County, but there are a fair number of them, and he talked about that the old school was when you went into a gated community, they gave you like a garage door opener kind of deal. You put in your car and you hit the button, stuff like that. He says the new thing are the scanners, where it's a barcode scanner, and you put a barcode in the front window of your car, okay? And I'm going like, okay, that sounds fairly secure. And he says, think about this. I didn't even think about this. He says, all I have to do is to get in your subdivision, get in your gated community. He says, if I'm in a shopping center and I know where you're at, he said, let's say I follow you out of your house in your gated community and you go to a shopping center, you get out of your car. He says, I'm going to walk over to your car and take a picture of your barcode. I'm going to go home. I'm going to print that out. I'm going to put that in my windshield and I'll go right in your gated community. I'm going like, whoa, I never even thought of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
Because if you take your phone, everybody's got like a high resolution camera. You take a picture of the, the barcode, you print it out, you stick it on your window, in you go. And I'm going like, man, I never thought of that. It was pretty
Not to mention the fact that if somebody wanted to read your barcode, that's got all your information in there, your personal information. It's like going to a hotel and all the keys.
Yeah.
They have all your information, including your credit card, on that little strip.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
It's
just a code for the door. It doesn't have all your information on there.
It does too.
No. I don't think you're right. We're going to have to call a security expert and ask him. But you know what I mean? I mean, after I watched this 20-minute video with him, I thought to myself, boy, that was an eye-opener. And he talked about, all the things that you have to be aware of, especially women, because he teaches this course for a lot of women. And I'm thinking to myself, and once again, people, I live in a gated community. Yeah, right. So what? I'll take a picture of your barcode and I'll be in, no big deal, right?
That's right. I'm Googling something.
And you know what Larry King would say about that?
Yeah, I know.
I had prostate problems that were driving me nuts.
That's what he'd say. It's 6:47. Westplex 107.1, Sam Smith dancing with the stranger. Morning to you. It's BS in the morning. I am Shelley. She is Brad. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we are BS in the morning. We talked about this earlier this morning about the nasty weather that moved to the east and the southeast of us, specifically Nashville. Man, tornado touchdown in downtown Nashville. Did you know about this?
I didn't.
Whoa.
And that's tragic. Did it leave a lot of...
Well, they said at least 7 people killed early Tuesday as 2 tornadoes touched down in central Tennessee. 40 buildings across the Nashville area were destroyed or heavily damaged. And I mentioned that we first came on the air this morning that not necessarily the entire St. Louis metro, but the eastern part of the metro last night had a severe thunderstorm warning out because we were on the edge of this nasty weather that moved through the Nashville area to the east and the southeast of us. So hopefully everybody made it through, at least in our area, made it through the night okay, no problems like that. Man, I'll tell you what, this is, and we talked about this morning, 10 o'clock, the tornado sirens going off. This is Emergency Preparedness Week, Storm Emergency Preparedness, month, the whole month is, as far as state of Missouri, state of Illinois. So please, one of those things that how many times do you hear people that like this tornado sirens go off and they're going like, oh, that must be for somebody else. It can't be for us, right?
Well, I'm kind of like that because I love a good thunderstorm.
God, I can remember years ago, and boy, he took heat over this. What was the guy's name? He was the head coach for the St. Louis Rams, and it wasn't.
That guy?
No. But
I don't remember.
It was what was his name? They called him the Mad Professor or something like that. And they were at summer training camp, and where they were, Macomb, Illinois, or something like that. And there was a storm moving in, and he was being interviewed on one of the TV stations. And he was talking about, one of the reporters was quizzing him down about the fact that, like, didn't you let the team on the practice field a little bit too long? That storm was moving in. And he said, well, I did the old thing where you see the lightning flash and then you hear the thunder. And when the lightning flashed, I started going 1001, 1002, because every second the storm is a mile away. So that lightning flash, and then if it flashes and then a second later, the sound, that means that lightning is a mile away. Okay?
I've heard that my whole life.
There's one problem with that.
What's that?
Sound travels at 1,100 feet per second. So when that happens, if the lightning flashes and then you hear the boom a second later, that lightning flash is not a mile away, it's 1,100 feet away.
We actually had one of those the other day.
So when he was thinking that, like, when the lightning would flash and then 3 seconds later, the thunder would clap, that the storm was like 3 miles away, it was like 3,000 feet away, which is like, a little bit over a half mile. You know what I mean? So in other words, it was like right down on him, and he was going, no big deal. That storm's 3 miles away. Yeah, 1,100 feet per second. So that's the difference. So if you figure that a mile is about is about 5,500 feet or roughly something like that. So in other words, if you have
it's a long walk.
Well,
that's what a mile
the idea
is.
being is if you have a lightning flash and then the thunder boomer a second afterwards, that lightning hit is only about a fifth of a mile away from you. And if you figure that the length of a football field is 300 feet, that means that you could be at one end of the football field, and that lightning could be literally about 600 or 700 feet on the other end of the football field. Get what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah, so it's a little bit too close to have your guys out there, doing drills still. They should be like hunkered down somewhere where they're not going to get zapped by lightning. So anyway, he took grief on that because somebody called him up and go, "Coach, you're wrong. It's not a mile away. It's 1,100 feet because that's how fast sound travels, 1,100 feet per second."
I was going to say something, but I don't know if it's accurate, so I'm not going to say it because it would make me sound really stupid. Oh, but guess what?
What?
The sun's out.
It is. It looks like a nice day. It's supposed to be sunny all day long. We might hit 60 degrees. It's going to be nice. It's 6:59. Westplex 107.1. Yes, with my baby. Morning to you, 7:09. It is BS in the morning. She is Shelley. I am Brad. Did I get that right that time?
Actually, that was spot on.
Wow. How'd that happen? Super Tuesday today. Can you believe that? Or do you follow that at all? You don't even know what Super Tuesday is, do you?
Well, I do know what Super Tuesday is, but no, I do not follow it.
Right. Well, this is the big election. A bunch of states, they have their primaries today. And it's interesting if you're a political junkie talking about the fix being in or the not being in. All of a sudden, the Democratic committee decides that, hey, Bernie's going to end up as the vice presidential or as the presidential candidate through the Democratic Party. We can't have that. So they have a little sit down with Buttigieg and Klobuchar and who's the other one, and essentially said, get out of the race. And they did. And now essentially it's just Bernie and Biden who are just left, and Bloomberg. It's the three Bs, the killer Bs, Bernie, Biden, and Bloomberg. And
really?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much it. Everybody else is dropped out. Buttigieg dropped out. Klobuchar dropped out. Steyer dropped out. And they're trying to, because the Democratic committee does not want Bernie to be the presidential candidate. They just don't, because they're pretty sure he's going to lose.
They know that right off the bat?
Well, if you look at elections through history, when people run for president, they become more moderate. If they're Republicans, they move more to the, more away from the right-wing extremists into the center. And the same thing with the Democrats. They move more from the left wing into the center, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to attract the most number of people. So if you were to go on TV and go, I think that everybody should have 10 dogs in their house, there are going to be people going like, oh my God, not voting for that guy. I don't want 10 dogs. I'm a cat person. You know what I'm saying? But
yes, I
yet,
do.
If that same candidate comes toward the middle and goes like, I think that you should be, a pet lover, and if you want to have a dog in your house, you should have one, and if you want to have a cat, you should have one, but you shouldn't be forced to have 10 dogs. That kind of a thing. So the problem is Bernie is like pretty much out there, as my son would say yesterday. Was that bizarre yesterday or what?
That was so much fun.
Shelley and I.
Oh my gosh. It was like looking like the apple in the tree.
Shelley and I had a quick little, she had I won't say what she had to do, but
I had something to do.
Yeah, she had something to do, and we had a quick little impromptu sales meeting talking about some advertising and things like that. So we met at the Mickey D's out there on Mid Rivers Mall Drive, just off of 364 in St. Peter's. And as I pull into the parking lot, who's getting out of their car? But my youngest son, Drew. So we said, "Hey, Drew, come on. We're just going to go in and have a quick little whatever we had. You had your Frappuccino, whatever the heck you had. What did you have?"
I did.
Yeah. And we sat down with my son. And was that interesting or what?
It was so much fun. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I actually took a picture of father and son. He's
sitting there telling us how Bernie's going to save the world, right?
Yes.
and he goes in, well, I won't have to worry about my health insurance, and I won't worry about this, because Bernie's going to take care of me. And I'm going like, oh, God.
Well, I just thought just the whole dynamic was just adorbs.
Yeah. My son works at Sam's Club, and he's a good kid. My youngest son is he's one of these people that you never hear him complain. I mean, there's some people that are chronic complainers. I can't believe I had to stand in line at McDonald's. He's not that. He's just the opposite. He's always in a good mood. Always got a smile on his face. Always,
he does.
Rarely do you ever hear him complain about anything. He's just one of those good-natured people, and he's fun to be around. And and it's funny because there are things I can say to him, and he knows where I'm going, right?
Yes, he was finishing your sentences, and you would sit there and you'd say something, and it was going to be a dad thing.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Yep, not going to fall for that, Dad."
Yeah, and there are a couple things that he stayed away from when I threw him a line. He knew where I was going, and he just ignored me. So
yeah, it's true. It was adorable.
Like one thing he's talking about, like he's going like, well, if Bernie gets elected, we'll have all this great mass transit. And I go, yeah, like the loop trolley. And he just ignored me. Like great mass transit, right? That's what we need. Okay.
It was lovely. It was just a lovely impromptu thing. Yeah.
I have 4 kids. Same mother, same father, all grew up together, and they couldn't be any different. I mean, they're all like totally different. And I have to say that of my kids, probably my youngest and my next youngest son, because it was son, daughter, son, son for us, and my 2 youngest kids are my 2 sons. They're probably the closest to, but yet they're totally different too. My next son up, Blake, is like Mr. Smart Kid. He took after, always got his mom's smarts, and he's an electrical engineer and a computer scientist guy, and has a job with Amazon working on their robots and stuff like that. And he's the guy who's going to, when he's 50 years old, he's going to have $10 million in the bank because he never spends any money. And he's always been a worker. I mean, ever since he's been a kid, he used to work up at Mid Rivers Mall. He worked at the pretzel place. What was it? Was it Pretzel Time or it wasn't Aunt Heidi's?
There was Pretzel Time. There was Annie.
I think he worked at
Annie's Pretzels.
Yeah, he worked at Pretzel Time. I don't know if that's still there or not at the mall. But
I don't know.
But he worked there. And matter of fact, when he was going to Mizzou, he worked at a textbook company there in Mizzou, and he never would really come home for Christmas or anything like that because of the fact that that's when they worked real, because when everybody turned in their textbooks, that's when he got this part-time job working at this textbook place. It's like the warehouse. And, all the people turn in their textbooks, and then he would, I don't know what he'd do in the warehouse, but, then they would get the textbooks ready for the next semester. So when everybody was out of class, that's when he was super busy working at this textbook company. And he was always, always a hard worker. God, I remember going down and fixing his car a couple times. And he had one, I remember one time I went down to see him, and I think he had a bruise on his head or something like that. And I go, what happened? And he was super into bicycles. Matter of fact, I don't know if he still has my bike I gave him. I want that bike back, by the way, Blake. I had a nice specialized bike that I gave him. Anyway, he lived near downtown, and he drove his bike to campus. And he was flying through downtown Columbia on his way to school, and a lady opened her car door, and he hit it and went right over the handlebars. The bike stopped.
Oh, my.
The bike stopped when it hit her car door, and he kept going. Went right over the top of the bike, right over the top of the car, and landed literally on his head. I mean, surprised.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't wearing a helmet or anything like that. And I'm going holy cow. And she was like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. And he's on the ground oh, my God, I don't believe what happened. Yeah, anyway. Yeah,
honey.
Yeah, but he's my tall one. He's the 6'8" one.
He's so.
Drew's the short one. He's 6'4".
I'm actually he's the one that's up in
Boston now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the only one of your children that I have not met.
My son lives. My oldest son lives in Pensacola. Then my daughter lives in Hooterville. Then my son Blake. My son Blake lives in
You're so wrong
in
on so many
Boston.
levels sometimes.
And then my youngest son lives right near you. Matter of fact, he lives right near you where you live.
Yep, he does.
Yeah. So, and he lives with 2 roommates, and he's got 2 crazy roommates, and they're all good kids. I mean, and you know what? That's what's sort of good. All through grade school and middle school and high school, he's had really good friends. I mean, friends who were like good people. You know what I mean? Just like good people and good parents, and the kind of people that that they're never going to be in any kind of weird, strange problems. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So anyway.
I do. But yes, it was delightful.
Yeah. One of those weird things. Hey, we're going to take a break at 7:18. 104.5 KSOQ is a great radio station, but we're not on it. We're on 107.1 Westplex. Every once in a while, it still comes out of my mouth. I can't get it out of my mouth. Out of my head.
You did it for 20 years.
I know, a long time. 7:21, it is BS in the Morning. I am Shelley. She is Brad. Our website is bsinthe.morning.show. Our studio is sponsored by the people at the greatest tree company in the Midwest, Allen's Tree Service. And you know what? You saw what happened with some of the storms that moved through to the east and southeast of us. You're going like, that tree's not going anywhere until a great big old wind comes and then that tree ends up in your living room. You don't want that. Call the Allen's people. They'll come out. They'll give you a free estimate. Chances are a little trimming, or they could say, like in my case, it's dead, has to come down, which it did, and they did an excellent job. So check it out, Allen's Tree Service, and they are the people to call. Also, they do lawns as well, too. So if your lawn is looking substandard, shall we say, they can make it look like a golf course. That's what you need, right?
Yep, that's exactly what they can do. And they also do hardscapes.
Yes, all that kind of stuff, landscaping, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Looking at this stuff that's going on with this storm, man, lots of damage in the Nashville area. Really nasty tornado or tornadoes that moved through there last night, earlier this morning.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my God. There's 2 airports in Nashville. There's the main one, and there's there's a lot of cities that have like 2 airports. The secondary airport had some really nasty damage. Some planes destroyed, some hangars destroyed. Some of the damage is actually in downtown Nashville. They're saying that actually in Nashville proper, there are 40 to 50 buildings that could be completely destroyed or heavily damaged. So, boy, nasty situation. And depending upon where you were last night, the EAS went off, and we're the nerds here because we have the EAS system on our stations here. The EAS system went off not on our station, but on other stations, primarily because of some of the storm which was moving through southern Illinois. This is how this happened with Nashville and places like that. So. Shouldn't have too many problems on the west side of the Mississippi this morning, but in the east side there may be some damage over there. The further east you get, the further the worse the storms got last night. So hopefully everybody in our area made it through okay. And don't forget, today is the day, 10 o'clock tornado sirens. This will be the start of the Severe Storm Awareness Month. Is that what I called it? Let me look it up here.
That's what you called it, I think.
You can check it out. You can go to
weather.
Yeah, westplex.news is where the information is, and there it is right there. And it's Severe Storm Preparedness Week in both Missouri and Illinois. Tornado drill this morning at 10 o'clock. So that's what's going on with that. Anything you want to throw in there?
About what?
Tiffany just texted you. Shelley's daughter's named Tiffany. Her name should have been Candy. That way she could have been Candy Bar.
Actually, I was going to name her Candace. That's not a lie.
That would have been funny, Candy Bar. Hey, it's Candy Bar. And nobody would believe that would be named. Hey, that's like a radio name. Your name's not really Candy Bar. Yes, it is. That's my mom named me. My name is Candy Bar. Anyway, she texted you on the way.
Tiffany just texted me and said, I'm on my way to school and I'm listening to your show. You both sound really cute today.
Oh, she must be listening to Y98, I think. That's what she's.
No, I think she's listening to her mother.
Oh, not this guy. She's only got what?
Well, you're the host.
No, I'm not. She's only got a couple months left, right?
I know. Oh my gosh. She walks in May. She graduates in April, and she walks in May.
Wow, so she doesn't even have a couple months. It's next month. So she graduates next month, right?
Yes.
Well, so she'll have her, BSN? Is that what they call it, BSN?
Her BSN in nursing,
wow,
yes.
Congratulations. Wow.
She's worked really hard on it.
Well, she's been in the field. How long has she been? I always get this confused. Is she a paramedic or an EMT?
She's a paramedic.
So the EMT is the base level, right? And EMT is like the
Correct.
base, and then you get the more advanced training as the paramedic.
Yes, and as far as paramedics, their scope of practice, from what I understand, is they can do everything a nurse can do except for hang blood.
They can't do that?
They cannot hang blood, no.
You know what my experience with paramedics are?
Yeah, they like to cut your clothes off.
Yes. The last 2 times I've been in an ambulance, they've cut my clothes off me. Oh, my God. And you know what? I have to tell you something. I've got this strange thing that I still have. It's been 2 years since I had my really nasty accident where I totaled my car, right?
Yes.
I still have that car, okay? And
Yes, you do.
the front end was not, well, there's a little bit of damage to the front end, but all the damage is to the rear.
Dude, the whole thing is demolished. They had to scissor you out with
Yeah.
the jaws of life.
I'm going to get that car running. I'm going to take it down to the crap transmitter site. This is one of the things that I've always wanted to do since I've been a kid, okay? And I am going to get somebody, or either that or I'm going to build a couple ramps, and I'm going to get that car running again, and I'm going to jump it.
You're such a man-child. I swear you are.
I am. I'm going to jump it. Would you go down and video me? And I'm.
Of course I would.
Yeah. So now the only problem is I got to figure out some way that I got to, I got my crash helmet with me. I got a couple crash helmets, and I got to figure out some way to close the door because when the firefighters jaws of life me out of the car, the door doesn't shut anymore because it's just like barely hanging on. Matter of fact, they didn't cut it off, but it's still hanging there by like I think it's got one hinge left. Anyway, so I'm going to fire that car up, and I need to get in there with my Sawzall, and I need to saw out part of the car in the back because the one right rear wheel is jammed up into the body and it won't turn anymore. So I think if I jack it up and I take, and I get my Sawzall and I cut the body part out back there, I think it'll roll. And of course, some butthead stole 2 tires and wheels off it, so I have to come up with 2 tires and wheels. But I'm going to get that thing fixed up, and I'm going to build a ramp down at the AM transmitter site, the crap transmitter site. I'm going to jump it. I'm going to catch air, just like the Duke brothers.
And what? So you're going to jump the car that you're going to fix, or are you going to put it out there and have another one of your cars?
No.
jump it?
I'm going to jump that car. I'm going to get that car to run. I think it'll start.
So what are you going to jump?
I'm going to build a ramp.
Yeah.
And
what are you going to jump over?
Nothing. I'm just going to get air. I'm just going to get up in the air and and just and catch air and be up in the air because I always wanted to.
You really do want to be on the air, don't you?
No, I want to be in the air. I want to jump my car. I want to be flying like Dukes of Hazzard kind of stuff. I want to be in the air. I want the sheriff. I want the Warren County Sheriff chasing me along 47, and I'm going to veer off into my transmitter site. I'm going to go up to my ramp, and I'm going in the air, and he's going to stand there and go, "My goodness," like the sheriff always does, or whatever. Dukes of Hazzard.
Yes, I know exactly. And I can, I'm not actually calling BS on you because I can kind of see you doing that.
I'm going to do it. You watch. I'm going to get that car fixed up. I'm going to get it to roll. It doesn't have to roll very far. Well, it has. That rear wheel's bent at an angle, so it may not track straight. You know what I mean? But what the heck, right? I think I get up to like 40, 50 miles an hour, jump, in the air. Don't you think?
Yes, Brad, I do think. And I'm shaking my head. You can't see that I'm shaking my head, but I'm totally giving you the face and shaking my head.
It's going to be one of my bucket list things, I always love the, did you ever hear the story of the Dukes of Hazzard? They claim that there were like 77 of those, Dodge Chargers that they destroyed in the filming of that through the years?
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. But, if you, on TV, it looks like that car never got a dent in it. You know what I mean? They could do anything with it, and it never got a dent. It's 7:30. Westplex 107.1. So alive. That's Shelley at 3 o'clock in the morning when she calls me.
I am alive at 3 o'clock in the morning.
7:39. It is BS in the morning. I am S. She is B. Our website is bsinthemorning.show. That's our morning site. You can go and listen to the podcast there. You can go to, and by the way, FYI, I forgot to tell you, we switched podcast hosts, and all the podcasts are now up on the new host.
So we're on Red Circle.
Yes, but there were only the Red Circle ones were only there till early January, and now when we started doing this back in November, all those are now up on Red Circle. So everything that we've done so far, every single podcast we've done, and you know what, the thing that amazes me is that I'm blown away about how many people listen to those, I mean,
there's a lot of people that listen to them.
It's the interesting thing about the podcasting thing, and not just us, the podcasting thing has taken off. And what's sort of interesting about it is what I've always been a fan of radio is that you can do lots of things while you're listening to the radio. You can drive your car. You can be, in the office. There's a lot of people that sit and listen to the radio all day when they're working, in their home office or at the office, at their office. You can be out gardening. I mean, I have my headset radio that I wear when I go out and cut grass or I do stuff outside. And I think a lot of people are, as a matter of fact, there's been people in our industry that are saying that the podcasting revolution has reinvigorated radio because people have sort of gotten back to wow, it's really great to be able to listen to something and theater of the mind and, and be able to do other things. Whereas when you're, watching TV, you sit there looking like a bump on a log, like you're on drugs or something like that. Some people are, but you know what I'm saying? You look like you're...
Not me.
You look like you're mesmerized when you're sitting there. If you ever watched people watch TV, you know what I mean? Like they look like they're they're hungover or something. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
They probably are. You never know what's going on in a pair of another person's pair of mismatched socks.
Right. So if you want, you can go to Apple and get our podcast, or you can go to bsinthemorning.show, Google Play there, or you can just go to bradbs.com and it's there. And
or you can say, Alexa, open Shelley Streams.
And you know what's interesting about that is the Alexa thing has not taken off like the Amazon people had hoped it would. It's been quite honestly, it's been sort of a disappointment. For us, we got into it, and people, like a lot of our advertisers, are like, could care less. I mean, think about it. Did we have one single person that was excited about doing Alexa? I don't remember anybody. Do you?
No.
Yeah, there was nobody. And then it got to the point where people, I don't have Alexa because she's always listening to me.
She's always listening. And she is.
She's spying on me. She's like Santa Claus. She knows when I've been naughty and she knows when I've been nice, that kind of stuff. So
she's very Big Brotherish, and she's really kind of stupid, actually.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the whole stuff with what we do. Things going on as far as the weather's concerned. We're going to have a nice day. If you haven't heard, terrible situation to the east of us, southeast of us, in Nashville area. Some really nasty tornadoes went through the Nashville area. There are several fatalities. Some of these tornadoes went through Nashville proper. And from what I've been seeing on some of the websites, some of these buildings in downtown Nashville, and if you have been to downtown Nashville recently, man, it's a happening place. I mean, Nashville is just a really, just a vibrant city. It used to be like...
It is. It really is a vibrant city.
But they got rid of my favorite restaurant.
What's that?
Stockyards. Oh, that was so good. I used to take my son there years ago. Stockyards, it was literally the Nashville Stockyards, and they actually converted it into a bunch of different restaurants. And it's gone now. But boy, what a vibrant city. I mean, and what's sad is that should be us. That should be the St. Louis Metro. Instead we've got all these goofy politicians that are going to fight between the city and the county. And, we're the city, we're great. No, we're the county and we're great. And what we say? You know what Shelley and I say?
What do we say?
You both suck. We're St. Charles County. We're the best, right?
Well, I do think that St. Charles County is really up and coming.
Right.
And it should surpass
and there ain't
St. Louis.
There ain't no fighting going on. The people in Wentzville aren't going well, those people in O'Fallon, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They're a bunch of Hoosiers.
No, they're really not. They're all friends. They all act accordingly.
Yeah, except when you get the mayors in one room and you mention the name Bill Eigel, then we're gonna beat that guy up.
Yeah, that kind of does happen. But other than that, they're just lovely.
We're gonna have to get Bill Eigel on here one morning and he can defend himself. If you don't know what we're talking about, Bill Eigel. And what's funny about it is, I know Bill Eigel before he was a politician. Bill Eigel used to own a company called St. Louis Skylights, and he advertised, not on this station, but he advertised in KSLQ. And he sold his business, and he went into politics, and he's a state senator. And he's quite honestly, he's a sharp guy. Big dude, too, man. He makes me look small. He's like, what, 6? He's like one of my kids. He's like 6'4", 6'5", don't you think? You know, I mean, I wouldn't.
He's a
Right. Him and his wife are both veterans. They're both Air Force veterans. And he's very conservative. And one of the things that he does not like is he does not like personal property tax. And I think most people are the same way. You know, when you have to write that check every year, you're going like, wah. But yet the politicians love personal property tax because that's where they get their money from, at least some of them. And the school districts, too. So if you mention Bill Eigel in a group of regular citizens, they'll go like, yeah, he's the guy trying to get rid of the personal property tax. And if you mention the Bill Eigel in a room full of St. Charles County politicians, yeah, Bill Eigel, yeah, we want to run him out of town on a rail, right?
They're not a fan.
They're not in his fan club.
No, they're not in his fan club.
Because that's how they get their money, and they don't want that personal property tax to go away. You know, but it could be like Florida. You know, there's no personal property tax. There's nothing in Florida. How do they do that? You know, how do they run a state with no taxes? Do you know in Texas? The state legislature meets every other year. They don't even meet every year. You know, like right now we got the Missouri legislature in session every other year in Texas. Isn't that weird?
Oh, really?
Yeah, every other year. They don't meet every year. Every other year. I don't know if it's odds or evens, but every other year they meet, and then there's a year when they don't meet. So, like, you know, like it's like, okay, so it must not be a lot of problems in Texas because they only have to meet every other year to come up with new laws. Maybe that's what we need.
New laws?
No, there's too, well, my theory on that. Trump talked about it for a while, but then he never followed up on it. I heard it years ago, and I thought it was a great idea. For every law that goes on the books, 2 has to come off.
You really think that's going to happen?
No, it'll never happen, but it's, think about it. There's so many goofy laws on the books that don't, still there's laws on the books in St. Louis City. You can't drive through in an intersection at more than 5 miles an hour. That's left over from the horse and buggy days, but it's still a law. So even if you're technically, if you're driving through an intersection in the city and there's a green light and you drive through at 40 miles an hour, you violated the law because there's a law that says you can't go through that intersection at more than 40 miles an hour, or more than 5 miles an hour. But, all these goofy laws end up in the books because something happens and somebody goes like, I need a law because this happened to me, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I can tell you're enthused. 747. Westplex 107.1.
Calm down. Calm down.
That's Shelley always telling me to calm down. She's always saying I'm getting too excited, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, Shelley, I have to ask you, this is one of these woman questions, okay?
Okay.
Chris Matthews, who you don't even know who he is. Chris Matthews is the guy who for 20 plus years has done this show on MSNBC called Hardball. He's a political commentator. I think at one point in time he worked for one of the presidents. He was like a speechwriter or something like that. I can't remember the exact thing. Anyway, he resigned last night on air. And it was sort of weird because of the fact that normally in the broadcasting business, you don't get a last show, like in the radio business. The boss will call you in and say, hey, that last show you did? Yeah, that was your last show. You're fired. And you don't get to say goodbye to your fans and, hey, I'm leaving, they fired me. Anyway, so last night he goes on TV for the first break and essentially resigns on air and then leaves. And somebody else takes over the show. Now, he's been accused of, and I'm seriously, I want to run this by you.
Did they fire him?
Well, I think it was sort of a mutual parting of the ways. He's done some really weird stuff lately. He made some comment about, last week he made some comment about that Bernie, what was it? I think find it. He said something about that Bernie Sanders' win in where was it? In New Hampshire was like the Nazis going through Europe. Okay, now keep in mind that Bernie is Jewish. So when you put the Nazis and Bernie in the same sentence, that's not necessarily a good situation. Okay?
I would say not.
Right. So it's not the kind of thing. It's not and not only that, it's to the point where it's like, okay, there are probably about 100 different analogies you can make than the Nazis going through Europe in World War II. Okay, that's not the best analogy to make. Anyway, he got called on the carpet far. Apparently, there was a lady that was on his show a couple times. She was a journalist, and this is the one thing. And honestly, I'm gonna read this to you, and you tell me. He was sitting next to her in the makeup chair. In other words, this is the woman guest, and they were sitting side by side in the makeup chair before they went on. And he said to her, "Why haven't I fallen in love with you yet?" Okay? Do you find that sexually or whatever offensive?
No. Am I offended?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, if a guy was sitting next to you at a restaurant, or let's say you're eating lunch at the bar, and a guy, got up next to you and said, "Hey, why haven't I fallen in love with you yet?" Wouldn't you go like, "Hey, cheesy pickup line"? You know what I mean? Wouldn't you just sort of like blow that?
It is a cheesy pickup line, but I wouldn't be offended.
Right. I mean, it's just sort of like, I've heard worse. That's like, it's like all my.
Usually, what I say is, "Dude, have you ever heard the phrase, 'that's too much car for you'?"
Well, but so, and once again, if the women are out there offended the fact that I'm thinking like, okay, if that's the worst thing he said, and then he kept on, then his next comment was, "Keep putting makeup on her, I'll fall in love with her." So in other words, they're sitting in side-by-side makeup chairs, and the makeup artist is doing their makeup before they go on TV together. Okay, is that like super offensive too?
I don't even get it.
Well, I guess that
Keep putting her makeup on?
Keep putting makeup on her, I'll fall in love with her. So the idea being is that the more makeup you put on some woman, the more beautiful she gets. Isn't that what?
Well, there's actually a modicum of truth to that.
Well, but once again, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so let's watch ads for cosmetic companies. Isn't that exactly what they're essentially telling women to do? Hey, put on this makeup and it'll make you look better, and men will go, "Whoa, look at her." Isn't that sort of what the whole idea behind makeup is?
Well, remember when I told you that women dress for women?
Yes, women put on makeup for other women. Is that what you're telling me?
Women put on makeup because it makes them feel pretty.
Okay, but once again,
there is nothing that can just make a woman feel like she can attack anything is the perfect pair of shoes, pumps, and the perfect shade of lipstick.
Okay, but once again, if a guy points that out and says, "Wow, I love your lipstick and your shoes look great," is that like sexually harassing someone?
I don't think so.
I'm scratching my head. I'm the same way. I mean, like for example, I mean, if I told you the bizarre story about how I'm a car freak, and I'll see somebody in a parking lot with a cool car that I like. I'll go up and talk to him. And I went into this guy. This was last month, or maybe it was January. Can't remember. It wasn't that long ago. 5, 6, 7 weeks ago. And it was down in Chesterfield Valley. I was at the Home Depot, and a guy had a really cool pickup truck. And I went over to him, and his window was down. I go, "Hey, cool truck." And the guy looked at me like, "Yeah, and?" And he got sort of nasty to me. And I'm going, "Man, I'm just telling you, I gotta like your truck. I'm not trying to date you or anything like that. I'm not going to carjack you. I don't have a gun or anything like that. I'm just giving you a compliment." And it was like, sort of, that was weird. Because most time, I mean,
that's because people don't recognize or have time to be nice anymore. We need to change that.
I think that I talk about this a lot. The pendulum swings, okay? I get it. There were things, I mean, I've told you stories about some of my ex-bosses and how they've treated women, and it was reprehensible, okay? The pendulum was way over on one side. Now the pendulum is swung way over to the other side, that if you say, like, "Hey, you look great today," well, you can't say that anymore. That's one of the, if you take the sexual harassment training classes, you can't make a comment about that anymore. You can't say,
I said, "You look very nice today."
But
instead,
you can't even say that.
"You look very
no.
today."
They tell you not even to say that.
Completely different.
No, they tell you not even to say that if you've taken these sexual harassment courses, because here's what they say. They say, if I walk up to a woman and go, "Wow, you look really nice today," then the comment could be, "Do you mean I didn't look nice yesterday?"
That's just a woman thing. Don't let that stop you from being charming.
I I once again.
But just say what I say.
No, they say,
Don't.
These are the reasons they say they got rid of him, because he said other things to other women. And I'm going like, okay, if that's what he was saying, like, I'm like, okay, that's like, to me, that's like no big deal, I mean, but the interesting thing about it was he said that one of the things, and I think this was one of the things that got him in trouble last week, he got, and how do I put this nicely where people won't think I'm being weird, but he got two black guys mixed up. You know what I'm saying? He made a comment about a black man and, a black politician, and he got the wrong guy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So how did he overcome that?
Well, they were saying that, and once again, they're the unwritten or the unsaid part of that was that he's saying that all black guys look the same. He didn't say.
That's not what he said. He made a mistake.
I know he did, but once again, but here's how we get hypersensitive. Okay, if I said to you, if there's like two white guys, let's take Chris Heifel and Caleb Hunter. Okay, two white guys that we know, Chris Heifel, Grace River Church, and Caleb Hunter, Extreme Electrical. Okay, if I said to you, wow, I really think that Caleb does a great job at Grace River Church. You'd look at me and you'd go like, no, he's not. That's not Caleb. That's Chris. Okay, you wouldn't think anything of it because they're two white guys, right? But if they're two black guys, then there's the people go, oh, you mixed them up because you say, well, there's some, I've heard black people say, I have a black friend of mine that says all white people look the same. That's what he said to me one day. I go, really? And he goes, yeah, to us, you all look the same. Okay, fine, whatever.
And that could be the truth.
Well, but once again, it's like, does that bother me? I could care less. I mean, to me, it's sort of funny. Hey, you all look the same. Whatever. No? Yes?
No.
8:04. I screwed that up.
Oh,
I shouldn't have done that. I made a mistake.
No, you never make mistakes, Brad.
I get up in the morning. That's a mistake.
Okay, the next time I see you,
yeah.
I sometimes you say stuff like that.
Yeah, and
sometimes you say things like that, and I swear I don't know if I need to hug you or throat punch you.
You could do both.
I could throat punch you from the behind.
Are you Chris?
So is that to seal your throat?
Are you Chris Matthews? Are we in opposite makeup chairs? Hey, that is.
Yeah, see, I can't say anything about that because I am like one of the most. What's the word? I don't even know what the word is.
Politically incorrect.
Yes. You speak Shelley. How did you know that that's the word I was thinking
But nowadays, you can't say hardly anything with somebody taking offense to that. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, everybody's gotten so thin-skinned, but that's a discussion for another day. I mean,
it is.
I mean,
because it's 8:06.
Yeah.
It's Super Tuesday.
Right. And
it's going to be a great day today.
Are you going to vote today?
The sky is shining.
Are you going to vote today?
Stars are out.
Are you going to vote today? Are you going to vote today?
We just got our voter cards yesterday.
It's next week. Our primary's next week.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the 10th, not the 3rd.
Thank you,
10th.
Brad.
Yes.
Thank you for trying to throw me under the bus. I appreciate it. I'm thinking throat punch.
We vote on Unsuper Tuesday, and by
it's really kind of okay Super Tuesday.
Yeah. What by next week it'll be Bloomberg. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you. I know these kind of things because I'm like politically well connected.
Because you're a psychic.
Bloomberg is going to write 4 checks today. He's going to write a check to Biden. He's going to write a check to Bernie, and then he's going to write a check to the Democratic National Committee, and he's going to write a check to Donald Trump, and he's each going to write them a check for $10 billion, which will leave him $20 billion because he's worth $60 billion, and he's just going to write them a check and go, okay, you don't run for president, you resign and appoint me the president, and then we'll have Bloomberg as the president, and it'll be all over. It'll be over by noon tomorrow.
That is so not going to happen, Brad. But that was very.
The phones are ringing. Must be 8:00.
Yeah, it's 8:08. Time for us to go. Have a great day, everybody. It's been a slice of heaven as usual. Peace. And Caleb, you're up, hun.
Hey people, your mom called. She says to call Extreme Electrical for your residential, commercial, or industrial needs. Give us a call, 636-925-2988, or on the web at extremeelectricalstl.com.
296 AJ Washington, Washington.
Westplex 1071. It's today's best music for the Westplex. Westplex 1071.